Good morning, everybody. It wouldn't be a session on engagement unless we engaged, would it? All right, everybody has feathers on your seat. If you don't, it's because you sat in the very back. If you'd like to move up and grab one off a chair really quick, you're welcome to do that, or you can just watch and see kind of how this game plays out. But what I'd like everybody to do is to set all your things down on your chair and stand up with your feather in your hand. All right, now for the first part of the exercise, what I'd like you to do is we're going to try and balance this feather. And what you're going to do is you're going to take the feather, you're going to put the quill on any finger that you want on one of your hands, and you're going to focus where the quill meets your finger, and you're going to try and balance that feather, okay? So I'll give you a minute to do that, see if you can balance it. Focus on your fingers, focus where the quill hits your finger. All right, lots of motion. Some of you got it, some of you are good. Some of you are holding it with two hands. All right, now what I'd like you to do is do the same exercise, only rather than looking at where the quill hits your finger, what I want you to do is look at the top of the beautiful peacock feather. All right, and then see how you can do balancing it looking at the top. Ah, look at no motion whatsoever. Look how easy that becomes. All right, you can go ahead and have a seat. I do that exercise to kind of illustrate that in our day-to-day world, which I kind of look at as focusing on the things at the bottom, we tend to get absorbed in all of the details of our world, and emails and Twitter and texts and reports and papers and phone calls and client things. And so what we'd like to do today is to have you step back and look at the big picture. Look at what you're doing with your business and how you're running your business, and it's some big broad ideas that you can incorporate to make that piece at the bottom become much smoother and much easier, because when we take our eye off the big picture is when we tend to have more chaos in the bottom. So today we're going to look at some ways to create some engagement in your attendees. Obviously that's a very quick exercise. Steal it, use it in your meetings. All right, what I'd like you to do is check out this picture and just kind of take a look at it and see what you notice. These are all things that happened at meetings basically about 60 years ago. All right, now what I'd like you to do is close your eyes and think about what's happening at the meetings and the events that you're holding today. What do those look like? How are the rooms set? What are you doing at your cocktail parties? What kind of activities are you hosting? Does it look very different than the original picture? Is it still theater style setup, speakers on the stage, people talking? Really, except for technology, meetings haven't changed that very much. We are making great strides in changing up how we do speeches and how we do presentations, but things haven't changed too much from what they were before. But the things that have changed are, one, adult attention spans are really, really short. We all have ADD, and that could either be attention deficit disorder or adventure deficit disorder. So we're looking for new ways to to engage people and get them really quickly active, because if not, we've lost them. The second thing is we are bombarded every day with entertainment and media from all directions. So now we expect learning to be like entertainment. We expect it to be hands-on. We expect it to be much more entertaining and much more driven in a new way. And then the third thing we have to remember is that when we're talked at, listening declines. We don't want to be talked at. We want to talk. We want to have engaging, hands-on, interactive sessions where we can all become a part of the thing. Dady Perlov from PCMA observed, "Amuse me and involve me while I learn something that I can take to the bank." That's kind of the mode that we're all in right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about 3 different ways that you can do this, and I'm going to give you some big picture things and a couple quick things that you can take and use immediately. So the first one is creating subject matter communities. We all have more talent and more knowledge sitting in this room than any speakers on the stage. So the goal is to figure out how do we move from subject matter experts to subject matter communities. How do we all get to engage and share what we know? The second thing is that we are all connected online. There's so much content online, we can't even begin to imagine how much we can get. We seriously don't need to go to meetings for those 2 things. What we need to go to meetings for is for surprise, for those surprise interactions, those surprise things that happen in the hallway that we never expected. So one of the things we want to think about when we're designing is how do we create that surprise? And then the last thing, of course, is it's all about personal connections. The meetings that we go to and the meetings that we come back to, the events we go to, the events we come back to are the ones where we have made a personal connection with somebody. We go back for the people time and time again. All right, so let's talk about a couple ways to do this. First, most of our presenters are using the same style format that like our mother saw when she was a little girl. So the first thing is to get your speakers to start to hone in on the things that are really important instead of talking for an hour at the front of the room. Basically, cut it in half the time that they get to speak. Better yet, cut it down to 10% of speaker talking at the top. Make sure that they're focused on conclusions and outcomes and relevant stories and crisp thoughts and the real high-level things that people need to get, and then make sure that they are doing something that's engaging the audience. It's critical that we start training and coaching our speakers to do more hands-on kinds of activities. The next thing is, in honor of Bill, create a flash learning mob. And again, this comes back to the fact that everybody in the audience has something to share. So if you give the audience an opportunity to create a mob and to teach something that they know, they will take advantage of that. And you can do that by setting up flip charts in the hallways during breaks, or at lunch, or in the back of a breakout session, and just give people the opportunity to grab a marker and go up to the flip chart and teach people something. And one person might engage, 10 people might engage, you might have 50 people standing around them, but it becomes an idea and a time for them to be able to spark that. Announce it in advance, and people can tweet that they're going to do that, and then they can kind of pre-form groups on their own, and you really don't even need to organize it too much. All right. Here, really quick survey. This is a stand up and sit down thing. If you agree that one of the primary reasons we come to meetings is to get new ideas, stand up and sit down really fast. All right, pretty much everyone in the room agreed. So tell me, we've all done this exercise before, but we're going to just rehash it here. Tell me, where are the top 5 places you get your great ideas? Just shout them out. The shower, number 1, exactly. Where else? Driving, number 3. Gym, working out, exercising, recreation.
Right before sleep.
Right before sleep? Perfect. Right before you go to sleep? Or right when you wake up immediately in the morning? Those are the 2. Missing 1. Come on, guys. Help me here. On the toilet. All right, so those are the top 5 places people get really great ideas. Did you notice that we did not say we get them listening to a speaker, or we get them sitting at my desk, or we get them in a brainstorming session? Those aren't where we get our really great ideas. So the goal of meetings, if people are coming to be inspired, is to give them places and reasons and ways to do that. So some quick ideas. Instead of doing a chocolate turn down or a t-shirt turn down or some other amenity, give them a shower pad and let them hang that up in their shower, and during the course of the meeting while they're there, they can capture the notes and capture those things that happen when they first wake up. If you're going to do a brainstorming thing, take people out in a limousine, drive them around and let them work in a limousine instead of doing it at their desk. Send people out on paddle boats or on kayaks or canoes at the end of the day with topics to talk about. Have them share the most relevant thing that they've heard all day. But put people in a different position where they can actually think and download and start kind of figuring out how they're going to use all those ideas they heard. Yes, true, not every prison has bars on the windows. Sometimes our meeting rooms are more like a prison than the prisons are. So research shows that our brain is really stimulated when we're in a new environment. We're more observant, we're more alert, we're more in tune. So the more times we can get people out of their normal traditional setting, take them outside, go to a museum, go to a library, go to a bookstore, go to a coffee shop, any of those kinds of things. If you can't get off site, set up your rooms differently, set up beautiful seating areas and use that as your meeting session. Anything you can do to create some energy and to create some spark and to reset what people are expecting when they walk into the room will help that. It'll help them learn better, and it'll also help them contribute more because it kind of loosens things up. Flip learning is a thing that's taking off. Do any of you have kids in school that are kind of experimenting in this yet? Yeah, so you see the hands around, so have a chance to talk to them. Basically, the concept here is that you work with your speakers ahead of time and you deliver all the content to the attendees before they get to the meeting. So they learn everything before they get there. They read over the briefs, they have an opportunity to check out the notes, maybe do a little research on their own. And then when you come together for the meeting, it's all about application. We're not standing at the front of the room downloading information. We're talking about how do we apply this information? How does this work in our world? How do we make this happen? And how do we get people engaged in that content? I did this with a pharma group one time that was launching a new product, and so they sent all of the information out ahead of time and told everybody to learn it. Then when they got together, we did the first half of the session for each segment of the information was test. So we had 4 different games that we had designed that were all about fun different ways of testing, and that gave the people who were running the meeting the opportunity to say, what did they get? What did they not get? Where do we need to have some discussions? And how is this relevant in the world? And how are we going to go out and really take this new product to market? It was probably one of the most tremendous flip-ups and changes in a learning style I've ever seen. And we're starting to see this in the schools, because if you think about it, in the schools, kids go to school and the teachers teach them how to do it. Then what do? They send them home and they say, go practice at home. And at home, they don't have anybody to help them figure out how to do what they're supposed to do. They don't have any support or anybody to coach how to apply that. So now what they're doing is they're sending, the homework is read the material, read the book, study what I'm going to tell you, and then they flip it up, and then when they get to the classroom, it's all about application. That's when they're working on the problems and solving things and doing experiments and doing all the hands-on pieces. So I think we're going to start seeing this happen in meetings tremendously, because it's a much more effective style of learning. All right. Raise your hand really quick if you have something that you know or you've done in the past that you think other people in the room would be interested in learning about, a success story, a tip, whatever. Quick show of hands. All right, look at who those people are. I can't believe it. I think everybody in this room should have their hand raised. I'm sure you guys all have something. But the key is, a lot of people have really great success stories. And when all the talking happens on the platform, they're not getting a chance to share what they know. So an easy way to do it is to inject 5-minute success stories into your program. You can do it during a general session. You can do it during a breakout, during a lunch, whatever. But solicit and give people the opportunity to be on the stage for 5 minutes to share some kind of a success story that they've had in their world or in their business, and that will engage people and get them to share their great ideas. The study of neurology is becoming huge in the meetings industry, and research shows that motion and action makes our brain function better. I think we all know that when we sit all day long, we can't think anymore, and it should kind of be the reverse. You would think your brain could work better if it wasn't having to worry about running your body. But the opposite is actually true. So we need to spend less time sitting down in meetings and more time standing up and moving around and getting some action into that. A couple quick ways to do that is, if you're going to do polling, have people vote with their feet. So put a giant sticky board up and you can say, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think about this new project we're getting ready to launch, and have people just stick something on the board. If you want to have them do idea sharing, put flip charts around, do a 5-minute yoga break. Anything you can do to get people up and moving will be great. The next idea is all about gamification. And a lot of people think gamification means computers and technology and all different kinds of augmented reality. And that's the new wave. That's the direction that we're going. And technology certainly enables a lot of those things, but it doesn't have to be. Creating simple board games or creating simple contests around your content really work well for your project. So anything you can do, anything you want people to remember, gamify it. This is a great networking tip. This was a leadership conference, and what they did was they asked everybody ahead of time to do words with their about what great leaders were. And they created these boards, and then they became a conversation wall. So people could come up and talk and listen and hear what other people thought about great leaders. Graffiti walls make a great way to do this. I was at a thing the other day, and they had a giant wall that said, what I want to do before I die. And then people could just write their ideas and their concepts on that, on what they wanted to do. So it's an opportunity, especially for those people that are really introverted and have a hard time walking up and starting conversations. It's a great focal point for them to gather and to create those things and to meet new people. We need to build in time for thinking and reflection. Am I close? Okay, perfect. You need to build in some time for thinking and reflection. This is a labyrinth we created outside where people could just go walk around the labyrinth and think about the ideas and the things that they wanted to do. You want to go ahead and introduce that, and then I'll finish up? Yeah. Sure, cool.
So this is an idea that Sharon had. You want to explain like the basics of this?
Sure.
You have two cards on your chair, right? A blue card and a yellow card?
Yeah, so basically the concept on this is what we want you to do is on the blue card, write something that you would like some help with. And something that, you know, if you need an idea for a new team building activity, or you need an idea for a cocktail party, or you need an idea for something to write in your blog, whatever it is, write that on that card. And then on the yellow card, what we'd like you to do is to write something that you consider yourself an expert in, something where you feel like you could help somebody else. Okay, so it might be something like, I know really great game developers, or I know the best place in town to take a group in New York for an outing, or
I have great fundraising ideas,
yeah,
or I know the best catering, or
yeah, whatever that looks like. Yeah. So what you're going to do is you're going to write those on those cards sometime before the end of this first group of sessions, and then on your way out you're going to hand those in.
And most importantly, though, you're going to put your name and your phone number and your email address as
Good
well.
Good point.
Yes, that
would really help.
Yeah, it's like...
So what you're going to do is you're going to do that. You're going to hand them out. Then when you come back in, we're going to hand you two random cards. And then your job is, if you can help that person, if there's something on those cards that you can help somebody with, great. Try to find that person or talk to them after the conference. And if there's something that somebody is looking for some help that you can't offer, try to help get that card into the right hand. So it's a little bit of serendipity here. I've found that most of the time a card ends up in my hand for somebody that I can really help, which I think is like the coolest thing on the face of the planet. But
I love it. This is the most low tech,
yes,
but like the best like serendipity.
No cost.
And remember, it's your job. I think we've talked about like communities and creative communities. Like we for today are part of a community, and so your job when you get these cards back is to try to get them into the right hands if your hands are not the right hands. So that's something to do in lunch or just through the course of the day, is to, you know, find somebody to help, you know, this person and find somebody who needs the help of that person. So this should be fun.
Perfect. Two quick things and then I'm out of here. The next thing is making name tags productive. Instead of just giving people pre-printed name tags, let them create their own name tags, set up a table with markers and some bling and let them decorate. It's a great networking place as well as a great opportunity for them to tell something about themselves and show their personalities. You can also do extra long name tags and let people write on the bottom, just like we just talked about this, here's something I need help with, or here's something I can help somebody with. And then those become conversation starters for you. Create reserved tables. And by this, I don't mean just reserved like for VIPs. Have some fun and be creative. If you create tables that say things like reserved for dog lovers, reserved for people who are active tweeters, reserved for people who hate mornings, reserved for chocolate lovers, whatever that is, and ask people to sit at tables that reflect them, it'll help you mix up your crowd a little bit and get them to sit someplace else. And then last but not least, I don't think meals have to be boring. I don't think they have to be just sit and talk. And when you typically go to a meal, you sit with the two people you know, they're on either side of you, and there's no table conversation. So ask the chefs that you're working with, give them the opportunity to come up with something creative and fun that will spark some conversation for your food. Have a carving contest at the table and let people create their own centerpieces and just give them some fruits and vegetables and some knives and let them go to it. Or host a macaroni contest and have them create a portrait of a famous celebrity, and then people can go around and guess who those celebrities are on those tables. So it's quick 5-minute things that it doesn't take very long that can really spark up your food. So just in a really quick summary, you want to focus on your speakers, get them to engage the audience, create networking opportunities, and then most of all, start small. You don't have to reinvent your entire program in one fell swoop. Start small and try something. All right, I'm out of here.